At least it ain't snowing here. I got
It's
all
snowing down there.
Right. Storm, oh wait, what is off? Here it is. Eli, you want to take it off? Morning, for a while we're going to be talking about spiritual race. You know, Paul talks about we're in a race this morning, spiritually wise. Does anybody know what's happening this summer? Big thing that's happening this summer on TV. Big sport event coming up.
Olympics, no?
The Olympics.
Are they? I thought I heard
Right,
something.
the Olympics.
I was just taking a stab at it.
And one thing I like about the Olympics, like if you watch, I like to see people run. I don't know why I like running. In fact, I ran for like 7 years. Started in junior high, high school, and ran the year in junior college. But the Christian life this morning is compared to a foot race, not a sprint. You know, I could take. Now, if we were all healthy this morning and able, I could take us all down to one of these high school tracks and show you how to set your starting blocks and give you the right type of shoe and everything. And I tell you now, you're going to run from point A to point B, which is the 100 yards. You know, nobody in here would have trouble running 100 yards. You might be a little out of breath towards the end, but you know, none of us in here would have trouble running. But if I told you we're going to run a mile, probably none of us, maybe not Kylie, she could probably run a mile. She'd be the only one to be able to do it. The rest of us, we might make a lap. If we're lucky at that. But none of us in here would be able to run a mile. Because number one, we're not in shape. But again, I can show you what to eat, and I can train you, and within a month or a month and a half, you'd be able to run a mile. I don't know how fast, but you'd be able to go around 4 times around the track without any problem. But you know, the Christian life is not a sprint. You know, you just don't get saved and you just start running. You know, it's a marathon. You know what a marathon is? I think it's 22 or 24 miles, something like that. And those guys can run those things in 2 hours. 24 miles is a long way. Yeah. But you know, Justin was talking about spiritual warfare a couple months ago. You know, the first thing a runner has to do, he has to have the right equipment. You know, we talked about the armor of God. So if you don't have the armor of God on, what's going to happen to you? You're going to fall. You know, Ephesians chapter 6, verse 11 says, put on the what? The whole. You just can't leave one part out. You got to put on the whole armor of God. I got some shoes here. I'm going to use Kylie for a minute. Now this, in the natural, this is the runner's armor. I want Kylie to come up here, and I'm going to ask her if she's going to run a race, which shoe you going to, which pair of shoes you're going to take. You're going to take, why are you going to take these? They're work boots. And number two, they're too heavy. What about these? They're church shoes, they're dress shoes. But you know how light these things are. They're light. She picked the right shoe. These are what you call runner shoes. They got little things in where you get traction, but they're light. You know. Yeah, this is what you're going to do when you run. You're going to wear these type of shoes. Now, if you're running, depending on what type of track you're running on, if you're running the short races, they've got shoes with little spikes in them. Depends on if it's a dirt track or long or they're short. So that's the type of shoe you're going to wear if you're going to run. So you have to be prepared. You know, if you don't have the right shoe, you can't run. Can you imagine not having any shoes this morning? You know, that's part of our physical armor. Can you imagine not wearing shoes? I remember growing up as a kid down in Florida, we couldn't wait for summer to come because we'd go barefoot. You know, I don't know if you guys go barefoot up here in the summertime, but down in Florida, that's a big thing. We didn't like to wear shoes in the summertime. So you got to be prepared, not only physically but mentally to run this race that we're going to run this morning. So my question is, are you still in the race, or where are you at in the race? You know? And one thing that hinders a runner, if you turn to Galatians chapter 5 and verse 7. Somebody read that. Galatians 5 and verse 7. Somebody got that?
Ye did run well. It did hinder you that ye shall not obey the truth.
You were running, but who hindered you? You know, in the natural, we'll go from the natural to the spiritual. In the natural, you can mix these two together. Yourself sometimes is your worst enemy. You know, you can hinder yourself this morning. You know, does anybody know how you can hinder yourself? How would you hinder yourself running in a race, a spiritual race? Anybody want to take a stab at that?
You don't drink enough water.
We're talking about a spiritual race now. We're not talking about a natural race. You're right, that'd be the natural race. But what about a spiritual race this morning? How are you going to hinder yourself?
He's not being prayed up.
Right. We go back to the armor. If you don't have the right armor, you're going to hinder yourself. And one big thing that hinders a lot of Christians is their mind. You know, if you get up this morning and think you're going to be sick, you get sick. If you get up this morning and think you're going to have a bad day, guess what? Probably you're going to have a bad day. There's a scripture over in Proverbs 23:7 says, "For as a man thinketh in his heart, he is." So it's a battle over our mind this morning. Whatever you think, that's what you are. You know, so you got to think on the right things this morning. You know, you can't get up and think, I'm going to be defeated today. So many Christians that have been serving God a long time that they've got this attitude that they're always going to be defeated. And they never go anywhere in life. And I understand in the Christian walk, there's a lot of Christians that are weak in the faith. And sometimes we have to carry those people, you know. Because, you know, Brother Seville talks a lot about encouraging us. He's trying to encourage us to keep going. And that's what we need to do. But we have to think on the right type of things this morning, because if we don't, we're already defeated. We're already defeated. But there are some things in life, and I've said this before, that we have no control over. They're just going to happen. You know, bad things happen to good people. You know, and so many times we we blame other people. Sometimes it's other people's fault. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes, you know, it's our own fault. But so many times we get so stressed out when bad things happen to us. You know, God expects us to do our part, and God will do the rest. You know, you do what you can do. When something bad happens to you, when you're running this spiritual race, do what you can do, and let God do the rest. You know, let God do the rest. You know, but so many times we just give up. And so our mind is the battle. You know, we've got to constantly keep our mind on God. Try to think positive, you know. But like Brother Sibyl was saying last week, there's going to be times we're hit in the face, you know. We kind of stagger and stumble. But, you know, we got to keep going on. And the second thing that hinders a runner is, well, in the natural, you know, when I was running track, you know, if you get to the start line and you think you're defeated before you ever run the race, guess what? You've already lost. And I remember our track coach used to say, now, when you run, and your body's a funny thing. You know, you can actually think you're tired and you feel tired, and there's this chemical in your brain that when you're running, if you start thinking bad things, it'll go off and your legs will get so heavy and you get so tired. That's why they say when these runners get the second wind, you know. So you got to think right, you know. So your mind is an evil thing sometimes. Your mind is also a good thing. And the second thing that can hinder a runner is other people. How can other people hinder you in your walk with God this morning? Somebody want to take a stab at that? How do you think other people can hinder you in your relationship with God?
You get your eyes off of God and you get focused on, and well, let me put it this way. You get your eyes off the prize, you get your eyes off the finish line, and rather you get focused on those around you. You're no longer looking forward, but you're rather looking around at your surroundings. And if they're hindered, well, they're just going to be a stumbling block for you.
Right. Sometimes, you know, if you get around the wrong type of people, negative people, you know, there's people that start on your job, they're always negative. You know, and you meet people that are negative. But, you know, if you stay around those people long enough, you'll act like it. There's an old saying, man sleeps with a pig, he becomes a pig. You know? So other people can affect your relationship with God. You know, that they can discourage you. And that's why we need the body of believers this morning. You know, we need to uplift each other. We need to encourage each other. But you know, there's always going to be those people out there that are always trying to beat you down, telling you can't do it. I know when my daughter was 17, she finished high school a year early, and she was going to go on a mission trip halfway around the world. I said, well, you don't need to, you're 17 years old, and there are a lot of people that try to discourage her from doing that. But you know, the people in the church said, no, go ahead and do it. And she did. She was waiting home for a whole year. 17 years old, halfway around the world, over in Taiwan, on a mission trip. You know? Wow. So don't let people discourage you. You know, when God tells you to do something, whatever God's telling you to do it. You know. You know, you see so many young people in high school that don't have no goal or no ambition. Sometimes it's the parents.